UFC Vegas 97 is this weekend. Burns versus Brady. It's a great fucking card. Well, not really, but it's a really solid card nonetheless. And I'm going to be starting with the main event, breaking that down, and then ending with Trevor Peek versus Giannis Ashmas. I don't know how to fucking say it. So we have a really good main event, and I think it kind of does save this card. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think this is a bad card by any means. There's some really fun matchups here, but I definitely do think that it's a really intriguing main event with a lot of high-level stakes, and it's high-level competition as well. We're going to be in for a high-level grappling treat. We're probably going to see a little bit on the feet, of course, but, you know, Brady is primarily a grappler. Burns is really, really known for his grappling and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game. And when you have these two guys going at it, and it's in the fucking Apex as well, I feel like it's going to be going in that direction, and I feel like we're probably going to be getting a decision. But nonetheless, should be a fun fight. It's really interesting, and I'm going to be going with Sean Brady. I'm a Gilbert fan, and my heart is saying Gilbert, but I feel like it's just trying to fucking play tricks on me, so I'm going to be going with Sean Brady. I think the biggest thing about this fight, if you're the odds makers, is looking at the age factor, looking at the momentum factor. And I think that's why this fight isn't more of a pick'em as much as it is Sean Brady being a minus 190 and Gilbert being a plus 160, is because Burns, as high level as he is, and he does have the higher rank, he is 2-3 in his last 5. Meanwhile, Brady, he's a great fighter, and he has the clear age advantage. I think he's 7 years younger, only 31 years of age, so kind of in his athletic prime, at least in terms of fighting. But he's 4-1 in his last 5, and he's put on good performances. You know, this guy only has a 50% finish rate. It's not like he's some marauder, but he puts on good performances, really good on the ground, solid on the feet. You could say the same with Gilbert, you know? Gilbert has, the difference with Gilbert, though, is that Gilbert has fucking power in those hands, man. Like, we don't really see Brady knocking dudes out, you know? Like, Burns, it wouldn't be that surprising, because Burns has shown in the past that he does have some stone in those hands, and he's the only man to ever drop Usman and Chimaev. It's a crazy stat, and, you know, I just don't see this fight going too much back and forth on the feet, though. Although I would say if it did, that would clearly favor Burns. And Burns is, I feel like, more willing to push the gas on the pedal on the gas, push the gas pedal, and move forward and really kind of assert himself in the cage, especially since we're in the Apex. It's going to be a smaller cage, and that shit does matter. I think Gilbert's path to victory is putting on the pace and putting on the pressure, making Brady uncomfortable, because it's hard to say who's going to get the better of the grappling exchanges. Also, when you consider it, because they both are so good at the ground, you know, are they going to even be able to hold the other one down for that long, like that much of extended periods of time? Or is it just going to be like little scrambles, get back up, scrambles here and there, get back up? You know, I don't really know what fight we're in for, but we're going to see, because Burns did look great in his last fight. You know, Burns was winning that fight until he did get fucking kneed in the face. You know, it was a competitive fight, it was a close fight, but I believe Burns was up on the judges' scorecards for that one. Again, before the third round, where Della Madalena gave him a knee to the fucking dome, the chrome dome. No. I'm a Gilbert fan. This is going to be a fun fight to see. I'm going to go with Brady, though. I think he's just going to... Honestly, dude, as I talk more about it, I want to fucking just pick Burns, but I think Brady has the age advantage, the momentum advantage. He's just an overall really skilled fighter. But Gilbert is like the BMF of the welterweight division. Like, Gilbert will fight anyone and anywhere. Do you remember in 2023, dude, he fought like 3 fucking times in the span of only a few months? Like, the dude's insane. The dude's a legend. And props for him to getting in here, you know, putting on another main event with another younger guy, another fight where he's kind of fighting down the rankings. But I'm going to be going with Brady by decision. Up next, we have Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva, the co-main. Honestly, man, we finally have a WMA fight that's kind of like on the higher level of the cards that I think is probably going to end in a finish. Now, I definitely think that Natalia Silva, if she wins, it definitely is going to favor more towards a decision, and if Andrade wins, it's going to favor more towards a finish. But Natalia can fucking submit her, bro. And Andrade has been prone to submissions in the past, especially at flyweight. But I don't even know if I said my pick yet, but I'm going to be going with Natalia Silva. I think Natalia Silva is going to take it by either decision or a sub. But this is honestly a fun WMA fight, dude. Like, Andrade is the BMF of the women's divisions. Most of her fights have ended in finish of some sorts. Whether it's win or lose, Andrade's fights usually, I'd say 70-80% of the time, will end in a finish of some sorts. Andrade has heavy hands and aggressive striking, and she can put on the power, but it doesn't really stand up as much when she moves up to flyweight, which this fight is at. She has solid ground game and a lot of experience in the cage. She's definitely one of the higher up vets. She does have good fight IQ. And that experience comes into play, although her willingness to brawl does leave her open sometimes. It leaves her open to counters and it leaves her open to subs. And she is on a 2-fight win streak, but Natalya is 5-0 in the UFC. Like I'm saying, Andrade is more of like the blow up in your face, kind of like control the cage, kind of like throw the power shots and try and get you out of there kind of fighter. But Silva is the more technical, the more dynamic striker. But again, don't get me wrong, she can put you out on the ground. And I do think, like I said earlier, Silva can take Andrade out by sub. Silva is more of a strategic fighter, and she tends to kind of like stick to the game plan more, pick her opponent apart. She's good at exploiting the weaknesses of her opponents, but the question is, when you move up in competition, like she's moving up like right now against someone like Andrade, with again a lot of experience, how is that going to hold up? How is picking her apart going to go? How is trying to dominate her on the feet going to go? How is trying to get her out via sub going to go? You never know when you have these up-and-coming prospects versus someone who's been at the top for a long time, and that's why I make these matchups so interesting. It's a power versus precision, It's power from Andrade versus the precision of Silva. It's the experience versus momentum. The experience of Andrade versus the momentum of Silva. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be going with Silva. Usually don't talk or think much about WMMA fights, to be honest, but I am interested in this one. Up next, fight of the night candidate, Steve Garcia versus Kyle Nelson. I'm going to be going with Steve Garcia, but my gut is telling me Kyle Nelson, because I'm looking at those betting odds, and I think Garcia is like a minus 180, 190, and Nelson is around like a plus 150, 160, and I kind of like those odds for Nelson. But Garcia is a fucking tank. He's 4-0 in his last 4 and has ended all of his fucking fights in the UFC via KO or TKO, which is insane. Nelson, on the contrary, he's on a 3-fight win streak, but dude, he was having a hard time in the UFC prior to that. I think he was 1-4, and then there was like a draw thrown in there, and then he, finally got shit going a little bit. Now he's on a 3-fight win streak, and versus a guy who's on a 4-fight win streak with a lot of knockout power, a lot of flashy finishes for the real. Garcia even has a win over Chase Hooper. Now granted, I think Chase has improved a lot since then, but still, I'm gonna be going with Garcia on this one, just because I think this matchup just favors him in general. Plus, he has the momentum on the side. Garcia is known to primarily be a power puncher, pushing forward the pace, putting on the power. Like, how am I going to get you the fuck out of there? He has a really aggressive style, and it makes him really fun to watch. And I think with against a guy like Nelson, who has proven to be finished via KO or TKO in the past, I think Garcia can get him. He's not going to win by a decision by any means, but I think he might take out his lights on this one. Now, like I'm saying, Garcia is a lot more of like the power puncher, the I'm in your face kind of guy, the pitbull energy. And it's a really entertaining style, but it's an interesting contrast compared to Nelson, who is a lot more of like a technical striker, a lot more of a patient fighter, a lot more of a well-rounded fighter. You see him a lot more on the ground and implementing his grappling game, and you don't really see that. Steve Garcia is more of, I don't want to say a one-trick pony because he's a really good fighter, but I could see Nelson winning by taking him all 3 rounds, managing the distance well, because as soon as you let Garcia get close, it's going to get really dangerous. So if Nelson manages the distance well, kind of picks his shots, implements the ground game a little bit, I think Nelson could honestly get the upset, but I'm going to be going with Garcia. He's got the momentum on his side, and he's got the power. And again, Nelson has proved to have been knockoutable. Matt Chinny Chin Chin Schnell versus Cody Durden. Cody Durden is stepping up on late notice by I think a week or 2 to replace Alessandra Costa, which honestly I think would have been the more fun fight. Bit of a better matchup. I mean, honestly, it just would have ended up with Costa sleeping Matt Schnell, but you can still see Matt Schnell get fucking slept in this one too, dude. I mean, Matt Schnell is the chinniest fucking fighter in the UFC, which is insane considering he's a flyweight. How do you beat Chinny at flyweight? How do you beat Chinny in flyweight? Like, if there's guys with knockout power down at flyweight, hell yeah, that's fucking awesome to see. But to beat Chinny? To be Chinny at 125 pounds, bro, it's fucking crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Schnell's a great fighter. I'm gonna be picking against him in this fight. Not rooting against him or anything like that, but dude, I just don't see this one going for Schnell. I feel like he's just a jobber. Kind of like his position at this point right now is just to get guys into the top 10. He's 2-5 in his last 7. I mean, I feel like the Sumu Darji fight was the one that really put him onto the map and showed that he has that dog in him, and kind of made him a little bit more of a, I don't want to say household name because it is Matt Schnell, but kind of put him on the map a bit more. But I mean, it's Sumu Darji, dude. You know what I mean? Fun fight, but Cody Durden is going to be dangerous for him. Durden has power in those fucking hands. Chanel is a sharp, technical striker. He's got good technicality, good speed. You know, he's been around for a while, so he has experience. Chanel's also pretty comfortable off his back. We've seen that, but Dern's wrestling is no joke, and I think that's going to be one of the things that picks him away in this fight. Dern's wrestling is one of his strongest assets, and his relentless style to kind of ground down opponents and fucking pick you up and put you down and hold you there, I think is going to be implemented here. Dern is always going to be looking for that top control, but he also does have good striking, and like I'm saying, he does have power in those hands. Like, he's definitely more of a power-based striker than technical, I would say. But dangerous on the feet, dangerous on the ground for Durden. So, no, I'm saying Durden. Durden is dangerous. For Chanel. That's what I'm trying to say. And again, Chanel's good, but I just see Durden's wrestling, Durden's striking, Durden's power, Durden's momentum. I think it's just going to get the best of Chanel. Chanel's like a fucking plus 300 dog. Oh, no, I think Durden's going to take this one. How? I have no idea. We have the number 15 rank going against the number 10 rank. Maybe Chanel's 11. I don't fucking know. But it's an interesting flyweight scrap. Should be fun. And that's going to be it. These are going to be my picks, guys. So, not going to be betting this weekend. You know, I'm confident in some of my picks, but not to where I'm trying to fucking lose money over it. There's fun fights on here with a really intriguing main event, and let's fucking see what happens. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. All the Smoke MMA. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What are your picks? What are your predictions? What are your parlays? How much money are you going to win or lose? Thanks, guys, so much. All the Smoke MMA. Peace.